Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 12, Power or Knowledge. And our topic is Foucault's Archaeological Writings. Foucault's early work provides an archaeology of knowledge, wherein he constructs the underlying unconscious rationalities of the historically specific domains. In his first major work, Madness and the Civilization, original French edition, Foucault traces the evolution of the relationship between the insanity and the modern reason. He examines the historical and discursive process whereby insanity is constructed as the opposite of the rationality and is systematically separated from the reason through discourses of exclusion and institution of confinement. Foucault's most elaborate archaeological exposition occurs in his following book, The Order of the Things, original French edition, in which he describes the emergence of the human and social sciences as the product of the underlying rules, assumptions, and ordering procedures of the Renaissance, classical, and modern eras, and the creation of man as a discursive construct of scientific knowledge and inquiry. In his final archaeological writing, The Archaeology of Knowledge, original French edition, 1971, Foucault provides a reflexive critique and clarification of his intellectual project, the development of a historical and theoretical epistemological space. Foucault's archaeological writings have been criticized for an excessive focus on discourse, to the exclusion of social institutions and practice. Nevertheless, Foucault's archaeologies clearly privilege the analysis of theory and knowledge over social practices and institutions. An inquiry into the effect of discourse on the social and political environment would require an evaluation of material institutions. This principle guides Foucault's next intellectual phase, in which he borrows from the Nietzschean principle of genealogy to concentrate explicitly on power effects and their relationship with knowledge. Now let us move to the next point, Foucault's genealogical writing. Genealogy signals a shift and broadening of Foucault's focus, but not a fundamental change in his vision. Like Foucault's archaeological writings, his genealogy explores discursive discontinuities and clarifies the historical context of positions which are presented as absolute. Following from the archaeology, genealogy focuses on the multiplicities and the pluralities within a field of discourse, explicates the shifting, discontinuous undercurrents of evolutionary history, and examines the role of reason in the production of human sciences. In contrast to archaeology, genealogy aims at social, political, and economic institutions and practices, and the relations between the discursive and non-discursive domain. Following from this position, Foucault began to theorize about power in the 1970s from a non-totalizing non-subjective and non-humanistic perspective. His conception of power is radically different from earlier juridical, political, and economic macro perspectives. He suggests that power cannot be observed in these apparatuses and that it is diffuse, non-specific, and polymorphous, shaping individual identities and bodies. Thus, unlike most earlier explanations, he does not see power as inexhibiting and negative, but as productive and perspective, operating through the authority of social norms. In his first genealogical work, Discipline and Punishment, Foucault describes the historical formation of the soul, body, and subject within disciplinary matrices of power, which operate in schools, armies, hospitals, factories, and prisons. He thus examines the relationship between modern social institutions and the power relations of rationality. In his later work, Foucault explicates the nature of rational power. Foucault critiques the repressive hypothesis by stating that the idea of sexual repression is a mechanism situated within the regime of power, knowledge, and pleasure, which creates and sustains the discourse on sexuality and focuses on the body as the site of control. Thus, Foucault reveals the ubiquitous and insidious operations of power, problematizes rationality, subjectivity, and knowledge, explores the link between the power and knowledge. Foucault's vision has often been considered oppressive. His archaeological and genealogical works reveal the colonizing power of modern rationality and its dispersed presence throughout the social field. Nonetheless, Foucault's theorizing is grounded in the belief that knowledge can be transformative. At the same time, although the discourses reinforce power, they also provide potential for resistance, whereby the disenfranchised can be extended oppositional discourses and demand legitimacy, frequently by the appropriating institutional categories. Now let us conclude the unit. Even if one does not agree with Foucault, at the very least he reveals the pervasive presence of power in human existence and critiques the demonstrated validity of rationality, subjectivity, and knowledge. His analysis describes the extensive effect of power and its multiple operations in rational institutions such as school, hospital, factories, asylum, and prison, in the production of scientific knowledge, and in the construction of epistemological system. However, Foucault also has clear limitations. His critique of modernity has been accused of being one-sided, presenting only the negative results of rationality, which limits his applicability. More significant is the startling neutrality of his analysis. Although Foucault states that a power operates through knowledge and discourse, he ignores the reality that established epistemologies favor certain groups or individuals to the exclusion of others. The discourse of rationality itself has historically specific roots to white Western male intellectuals. Thus, its predominance has very real and specific effects. Although he speaks of bringing subjective discourses into play, he does not address the fact that the subjective discourses are discovered among clearly identifiable sections of the human population, among non-white, non-affluent, non-West European, non-heterosexual men and women. In spite of practical goals of his analysis, Foucault has been broadly criticized by his adversities on the backdoor determinism inherent to his conception of power. However, Foucault has made an invaluable contribution to the study of power and knowledge by opening new fields of understanding and interpretation. Now let us wind up the session, and we have come to the end of the unit. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning Podcast.